DCM.WORKS, take us with your morning vitamins.
Be advised. This podcast features grown-ups using grown-up words.
Welcome to Not Another Smallville. My name is Steph, and I've never seen the show before.
And my name is David, and I've seen it twice.
And this is Season 1, Episode 13.
It certainly is.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality.
You do a lot of hand gestures during the intro. I've only just noticed.
Yeah, I do, and no one can see them.
Yeah, people at home won't know this, but Steph very clearly articulates. She's like, welcome to the notes. Like, you've got a lot of hand stuff going on. It's quite...
I do. Just waving them everywhere.
I've not noticed that before. That's new. So, Steph, as always, because it's an episode of this show, and it happens at the start of every episode, what was the plot of this episode? What was the story?
Okay,
Tough one.
it was actually pretty straightforward this time, I guess. There's a bunch...
compared to some of the previous ones where the story was just a haze.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's these three guys... I don't know, they have these kryptonite tattoos.
I think we can safely call them three bros.
Three bros. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, so three bros, they've got these kryptonite tattoos that allow them to walk through walls, and of course, they don't use them for good, they use them for evil.
Evil.
So they rob Lex Luthor and steal a CD.
Yep, along with some money and some watches and all that good stuff.
In the meantime, also, like, throw Chloe out of a window.
Oh, yeah.
So she's in hospital for most of the episode.
Yep.
She should have died, but...
She fell out of a 2-story or like 3-story Gothic mansion.
Yeah.
Through a glass window.
Yeah.
She's dead.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
3 days in the hospital. She's fine.
Yeah. And so, anyway, at the same time, Whitney lost his scholarship to the football...
Kansas Met?
Yeah.
Or Kansas University?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah, Kansas State or whatever.
Kansas State.
Yeah.
So he's sad.
So he's sad, and then he meets these guys with the tattoos.
Our bros.
Yeah, our bros.
Yeah.
And he gets a tattoo and, like, starts doing bad stuff with them.
He's drinking beer and then he gets thrown in front of a bus. Or
a truck. And,
yep.
like, obviously the truck goes through him.
Mm-hmm. Well, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, I think we established that these tattoos don't last forever.
Well, but like, do we? It's...
Yeah, because at the end, like, the guy got crushed by the car because the tattoo ran out.
Okay, but here's... Okay, you know what? We'll get to that in a minute. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll keep
I have
going.
so many problems with what they did this episode.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Whitney gets his tattoo, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Starts drinking with these guys. And then they want to blackmail Lex, so they want him to pay them $1 million so that, like, for them to hand over the CD because it's got stuff that Lex doesn't want released to the public on it.
It proves that Lex has been digging in his father's files.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, anyway, so Whitney, like, they almost kill Lex, and Whitney's like, what? I didn't want to kill anyone.
Yeah, for some reason they bring him along for the ride.
And get angry when he doesn't. Yeah, I don't really understand. I think, like, I don't know. We'll go into it later. But anyway.
Yeah, one of the many problems.
Clark comes, gets hit in the face with a meat hook.
Oh my god!
I thought it was gonna,
we both freaked out. We thought he was gonna get, like, impaled in the chin.
Oh my god.
That was the first time watching it we both actively like, oh my god, like, we just, like, yeah, that was crazy.
But no, in true Clark fashion, it just knocked him out of the way. It didn't actually impale him.
Yeah, it knocked him gently off his feet.
Yeah, and so then, Whitney is like, oh man, don't want to deal with these guys anymore. So he helps Clark get the disc, and then the guys come and they're like,
yeah, they sneak in to take the disc back.
Yeah. And anyway, the disc is in their, like, the bros' home.
Their crib. It's a crib. Let's be honest. It's a batch pad.
Yeah.
You know.
And they're like, oh, what are you doing here? And, like, essentially try to kill Clark.
Yeah, they're like, we'll
try to kill Whitney.
Yeah.
And then the tattoo runs out while
he puts his hand inside Clark's chest. I forgot that happened.
Yeah, he puts his hand inside Clark.
To stop Clark's heart, we assume. Yeah.
And, and then, like, the guy's got Whitney in a chokehold, standing underneath a car, and, like, they're gonna, like, crush him, essentially, with the car.
Solid plan.
And then the tattoo runs out.
For some
reason, the guy's like, don't worry, got you, bruh. And, like, drops the car. And Clark comes and runs and gets Whitney out of the way. And it crushes and kills this guy because his tattoos run out. And then the police come.
For some reason.
And Lex is there.
Well, Lex tasers one of... Lex saves Clark.
Yeah.
And then Clark somehow gets far enough away from Lex that he can super speed to save Whitney, even though Lex doesn't come with him.
And we don't know if Whitney actually noticed that.
Okay, let's just start with the tattoos.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
that is a problem, straight off the bat.
Yeah.
So, the tattoos appear to be semi-permanent, like, they don't last forever. But the one scene where we get an explanation from Chloe, it lasts like 8 seconds, and she's really vague.
Yeah.
So we never get a sense of like how they actually work, and if they are permanent
Actually,
or semi-permanent.
Yeah, the whole episode was really cryptic surrounding it. They're sort of like, oh, we don't really know how it works.
Which is,
but
like...
will allude to, like, dangerous things. So basically, like...
Which is fine, as long as the ending of the episode doesn't rely on us understanding that the guy's tattoo ran out.
Yeah.
But we, like, I still
like,
don't know
they
if...
hadn't really established...
Like, it would have been fine if at the end, Clark had, like, thrown him against the wall and he'd been unconscious. That would have
Yeah.
been fine. But instead, they were like, okay, the crux of the climax is that this guy's tattoo will run out, but you have to establish that the tattoos run out before you do that. You
Yeah.
can't just...
Well, because they're like,
Hate
they
it.
kept having to tattoo each other to, like, keep up their powers. So I knew that much.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if that was just to make them stronger.
But then they're like, oh, we need fresh meat to pass on the, like, tradition.
What the fuck does that mean?
And then Chloe's like, oh, yeah, these tattoos aren't good for the body, you know, you pay the ultimate price. And
Well,
it's
she
like,
was saying it like
did
it was heroin.
Did they die? Like,
Yeah, but then she
and then
never
Whitney
says.
is, like, super jacked up after,
I
like...
mean, he's real, like, coming down.
Yeah.
Like, he's got red
like,
puppy eyes.
sweaty and...
Although, to be fair, the next scene, he's fine.
Yeah.
He gets some sweet makeup done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. So we never really get a sense of how they work. We just know that they hurt Clark because it's kryptonite.
Yeah.
But that was one of those times where I'm like, okay, they didn't think this through at all.
No, they did
Because
not.
all the other kryptonite stuff has been permanent. And, like...
That's what I didn't like as well, is that, like, presumably you're tattooing something onto your body with a needle, like...
That's permanent.
It's permanent. Why would the kryptonite just run out
Yeah, it doesn't make...
if it's on your body?
And, like, every time that we've seen kryptonite in someone else, so, like, in a skeleton or, like, in anything else, it's been permanent.
And then also, like, how did they get kryptonite tattoo ink? How did they... Like,
How did they get it? How did they melt the metal and fuse it with tattoo ink?
how did they
who did
even
that for
figure it
them?
out? Like...
Why does it glow fluorescent green when none of the other kryptonite does until Clark's around?
Why
do the tattoos only sometimes glow?
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening, Smallville? So that's basically like the problem. That's the biggest problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's that idea of like like jokes that aren't funny can be structurally correct but are like built on a faulty premise.
Yeah.
So you can tell like an amazing joke, but if you're like, okay, you know, you're a stand-up comedian and you're like, oh guys, you know when you go to the grocery store and every time you walk in the doors you can't get around all the people coming out of the swimming pool. People are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like...
It's that problem where like it could be a great joke, but the foundation is incorrect.
Yeah.
And that made the whole episode super weird. And then Chloe's fine in like 3 days from falling out a 2-story or 3-story
Yeah,
window.
like, she's not even in a coma.
Her back should be covered in scars. She was knocked through a stained glass window.
She should have a neck brace on. Like, why is her arm broken if she landed on her back? Let's be real.
She landed on like starfish. She should be paralyzed.
Yeah.
But
and then she's got
not.
like an eye bruise when she didn't land on her face.
She's got a sweet black eye, yeah. I think the makeup department was like, how do we make someone look injured?
Yeah.
Give her a slightly black eye.
Yeah.
Which, again, very Smallville. Even more Smallville, Tom Welling got a tiny bit of a haircut.
He did.
Like, just a little.
Still
like,
not convinced it's his real hair.
It could be a wig.
Probably. I don't know.
Maybe it would be great if everyone in the show was shave their heads and then put wigs on, because Lex had to. That was like the deal. Like Michael Baum, is it Baum or Baum?
Rosenbaum.
Rosenbaum. I didn't get it wrong. Rosenbaum. Be great if in his contract he was like, I'll do it, but everyone has to
else
shave
has
their
to,
head.
just so that I don't feel bad for
That'd be
being bald.
amazing. And could you imagine at the start of every day coming out of their trailers, everyone has bald heads. And it's like the sun glistens on their bald head, and Michael Baum's like, I made the right call. That'd
You
be
just
amazing.
gotta call him Michael Baum.
Baum. Michael Baum. Oh, that's great. So Clark gets a new haircut and a new jacket. Mm-hmm. What
Yes,
the
he does.
fuck is happening, Smallville? I'm bringing back jacket speculation. Clark's got a new jacket. Lex has a new pea coat.
Lana has a nice coat, purple
Yep,
coat.
which she matched terribly with tan pants. I don't know what she was thinking. And
And
white
she also had a
sneakers.
purple turtleneck on underneath.
Same color. Did she buy them together? Can you
knows?
buy turtleneck coat combinations like that?
Well, obviously you can.
Not in Smallville. I call bullshit. It's a small town.
Yeah, where do they keep getting
Where do they get all the
this
clothes?
stuff?
Is it just Whitney's store?
Yeah,
Does that look like
probably.
a sports store?
But like
Where do the
has
clothes
Whitney
come
ever
from?
worked there before?
No, he's never had a job before this episode. But the minute that he needed a job for some people to approach him at,
It wasn't like, yeah.
yeah, it was the first time
Clark
that we've
was
seen
like,
him
oh,
there.
yeah, I need a microwave, and he's like, well, okay.
Is the premise then that they needed Whitney to be in a job where he could see it as being like a dead end job?
Yeah,
And they were
I
like,
think so. That was
they're
like,
like, how do we do it? Let's
Yeah.
put him in like a it's like a Foot Locker kind of thing, like
Yeah.
an A-Model Sports. If you're in Australia, do they
Yeah.
still exist?
yeah, they do.
Okay.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know because the shopping center near us hasn't had one for years since they did their
Yeah.
renovations. I don't know if it's still a thing elsewhere. I assume it must be. Not sure.
I know. I haven't actually.
Yeah.
That's not important.
It's not important and it's very Brisbane centric, but yeah, so that was weird. And then we got, well, there's a few problems with this one. So they do that thing again where they assume that every character assumes that a thing has been happening even though we've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So Whitney working at a store, girl going to school that we've never seen before.
No.
Classic Smallville.
Yes.
Love it. The other thing that's super weird is that Lex at the start of the episode is like, you know, Clark's like, oh, what do you think happened? How did they get into the walls? And Lex is like, well, there's been several robberies. Like, there's been half a dozen countywide robberies just like this. And Clark has no idea.
Yeah, no.
It's a small, like, Smallville is the town. Kansas is not a big county.
No.
Like, it's pretty small. The county they live in, which is not Kansas, it's like Kansas South, I think, from memory.
Something.
It's like a small subset. It's a small area. Like, it's mostly just farms and then Smallville.
And these people are based in Smallville. Like, they went to Smallville High.
Yeah.
So, like, the robberies would be happening around there.
I mean, to be
And,
fair,
like-
everyone went to Smallville High. Everyone's in a yearbook in this.
Yeah, but
in
that's
this
what
world.
I mean. Like,
It's super weird.
ugh.
Aren't there people that come from...
Also, you know, Chloe wasn't in hospital, like, before that robbery. So, like, wouldn't she have some insight on it?
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, because
considering she, like-
she's like the she's the person that's all about the weird stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be on her wall of weird. In the minute that Clark was like, oh yeah, they appeared out of nowhere, she'd be like, oh, it's those robbers from the other half a dozen times.
Yeah.
But instead, she's like, I don't know what happened. And Clark's like, better go do investigative journalism, which, by the way, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Smallville. The minute that he was like, I'm gonna go find out what happened, I said out loud, I was like, Clark being a journalist, didn't see
Yeah.
that coming. Also punching logs, how good.
Yeah.
A little bit of teenage angst, punching some logs. Nearly
Love it.
shrapneled his parents, though.
Yeah. Big splinter through the heart.
Yeah, just dead parents.
And then, like, he opens up the barn door and the whole wall shakes.
Yeah, I didn't
because
notice that, but the
it's
set-
a good set.
They didn't put, like, the supporting struts on the outside that
No,
day. They
it was
were like,
pretty
"It'll be
funny.
fine."
It was pretty funny.
It was not great.
No.
Very classic sort of. But then it raises the question once again: are these real sets? If they're obviously real sets, but are they permanent episode to episode? It seems like they go from like six episodes or something. Like there's some length of time where they've rebuilt them. you know?
Yeah, and it's like they just film all the barn episodes.
Yeah,
like-
they film all the Bond scenes for like
Oh,
the whole
yeah, yeah,
season.
yeah.
Also, like it's very reminiscent of that. And then you've also got once again, where is everything? We still don't know where
don't
Lex's
know.
mansion is compared to like the Kent farm. Clark didn't telescope Lana this episode, which is nice.
I don't think he has for the past couple, has he?
Not for a while.
Has
I'm trying to think because when's the episode where they nearly kiss? Because that's the one where he
That's a
telescopes
little
her.
bit
That's
ago.
pretty early, yeah. So I don't think he's telescoped her for a while, which is a good, Clark's growing up. But fun anecdote about telescoping. Just while we're on it. So my brother and his partner just moved into a new house.
yeah.
And they have always lived in a one-story house, and they now have a two-story house. And so Nikki, who's my brother's partner, she has never lived in a two. She hasn't lived in she's lived in a one-story house for like 9 years. So she's like, oh, I forgot that people can see you on the top floor from other houses. So she's like, I was like walking from the shower to my bedroom naked. I was like, oh shit, the people can, if they looked in, they could see me. And she's like, yeah, and I looked across my bedroom window that was open as I went to close it.
There wasn't a
Next
telescope.
door, no telescope,
Oh.
but next door, the neighbors and the neighbors it's a family house, like a family area. They've got a young kid, they've got a 1-year-old, is also a 2-story house, and they've got like, I think they've got like two 14-year-old. Well, they got a 14-year-old boy and a 12-year-old boy, and then a 10-year-old girl or something. And the 14-year-old boy is sitting, watching porn.
Oh my god.
Like directly across
Oh
from
my
Nikki,
God,
who's
that's
standing
so
there
funny.
naked. And she's like, oh, she's like, I can see him He's not looking at me, but I can see him. He's watching porn. He could turn around and see me. Better close these curtains. No telescope, but I just was like, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and apparently, like, she's like, yeah, he's always watching porn.
Wow.
She's like, yeah, every day, because she gets home at like 4-ish. She's like, every day I get home at 4 from the gym, and I go up and have a shower, and I see him watching porn every day. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of dedication. Which I imagine is something similar to what Clark does, without the other side of it. But I imagine he would watch.
Though. Clark, he's too good.
Yeah, he's too goody two. Wow, that's not true. He
doesn't even know what a penis is, though. Like,
he must do, because he saw Lana's ass in that episode.
That was a mistake. That he just got his X-ray vision. He didn't know what he was doing.
Did he see all of the schoolgirls naked? That's my question. How many of them were detailing?
But then it's like,
what's his focus like for Lana now? Is he
if he can see through walls, like, why did he see them naked? Like, why didn't he just see their bones?
Because it's different. So there's 2 different types of Superman X-ray vision.
Okay.
They haven't really established this because they just wanted a scene where a teenage boy thought he was seeing a girl naked. Well, he did. They just wanted to do that because it's funny or whatever. But in the typical, like, sort of Superman, I was going to say pathos, what's the wrong word? Mythos. He can see, usually he can see either X-ray, like he's an X-ray machine.
Okay, yep.
And there's implications with that because when he does that, it, like, sometimes, like, there's a few storylines where that, like, gives people, like, it irradiates them a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, so he sometimes cancer.
Some of them he gives them cancer. It's a storyline stolen from Dr. Manhattan, but that does sometimes happen. Or he can, like, peel back layers, which makes no fucking sense. So, like, in Superman Returns, the worst Superman film of all time, Lois Lane is married with a family, and he's outside, and he's able to peel back the wall to see inside.
Like an onion.
Like an onion.
Okay.
Ogres are like onions. And yeah, so there's 2 versions. In this one, he kind of just seems to be able to alternate whenever he wants.
Okay.
Which makes no sense.
Well, it's Smallville. Does anything make sense?
No. I was going to be like, well, actually, I think you'll find... No, nothing does.
No.
We got a great sort of weird Lana-y moment, a few of those this episode, where she wants to rebuild the Talon as a coffee bookshop thing.
Yeah. And she sort of just expects Lex to be like, oh, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, and then Lex is like, no,
here.
I'm building a parking lot, you dipshit.
Yeah.
But also, why does... Okay. Here's the problem with that. We've seen people effortlessly park on the main street in Smallville whenever they want. Like, there's never an issue of Clark being like, I'll meet you there, and his parents being late to something, and him being like, what happened? Oh, we were trying to park. Never. People just pull up and park wherever.
But I think, like, he said, oh, yeah, like, a lot of the small storefronts are turning into office spaces, so we need a parking lot. I think that's his reasoning.
Okay, so he's thinking maybe some corporate parking.
Well, yeah, because as well, if increased jobs is going to be attracting people to Smallville.
Yeah, well, it's more of a business center than just like a main street now.
Yeah.
Is the implication there then that we might start to see some new kind of types of people in the town? Because that could be interesting, because they've got to a point now where they've kind of run the gamut of ex-Smallville High students getting into trouble.
Oh, honestly, I don't think the show's writers are that clever.
I think you might be right. I think I might be overestimating them. I just would like to see some kind of different types of people. Not necessarily different people, but just like... We've seen business people before, but they haven't really been real. They've just been like, there's a guy coming into town who's a business type. I'd like to see some, like... Maybe some Lex and business people clashing a bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe some into sort of town issues. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we're going to see that.
No.
It's maybe just my wishful thinking, wanting the show to be better than it is.
Yeah.
But I can dream stuff. I'm allowed to dream.
Yeah.
Well,
and the show's allowed to be shit, so...
Yeah, well, it was a different time. I was saying when we were watching it, for people at home wondering about, like, the time reference, this was the same time as Firefly, which is, like, almost perfect. Compared to this show, which
includes floppy disks.
Yes, and then Clark crushes it with his hand. Also, it's a really expensive floppy disk. I know this because transparent floppy disks were super expensive.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a floppy disk, it was a mini floppy disk.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different ballgame. That's like the top end of floppy disks.
Yeah.
So for people that weren't alive when floppy disks existed, which is some of our listeners, or they weren't, like, they'd never seen a floppy disk before. A normal floppy disk is about the size of, like, the corner of an A4 piece of paper if you, like, cut the A4 piece of paper in half and half again. A mini floppy disk is half that size, but it's like... You would, like, slot it in... I don't know if you remember these, but you would slot them... It's like a normal floppy disk fit the whole slot.
Yeah.
A half-size floppy disk, you would slot directly in the middle.
Yeah.
And it would, like, slip in or whatever. But if you didn't put it in the middle, it would, like, jam in. Mm-hmm. So there were I remember distinctly, my dad had a mini floppy disk from work, because at that point he was quite wealthy, and he was trying to put it in his computer, and he put it in not quite centered, and put it in, and then it just got stuck, and he had to take the whole computer, I shit you not, pick up the entire computer, take it to, like, the computer shop, and they had to, like,
Oh no,
unscrew
like
and take the front panel off, and then take out the floppy disk from the slot.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, computers used to suck.
Yeah, they really did.
So that, yeah, and Clark crushes that bad boy in his hand.
Hmm.
Even though he's been kryptonited a little bit. So what's that? How does that work? Does he still have, like, kind of super strength?
I don't know though. Have you ever held a floppy disk? They're not. They're
They're not-
pretty flimsy.
Yeah, but could you, Steph, break a floppy disk in your hand?
No.
I don't have one on me to test. I really wish I did. Because I don't think a normal person could. I mean, maybe Kansas Farm Boy. But...
I guess because like no one was touching him at the time.
Yeah, that's true. Although I felt like, I don't know if I mentioned this when we were watching it, but that shot was really zoomed in on his hand.
Yeah.
It felt like they filmed that in post. Because he went, and he just like put his hand open and it fell. It felt like they did all of that in post because they were like, shit, the shots we did with Clark crushing the disc didn't work.
Yeah.
Let's take them in post. But I want to see kind of more of that early, like, 90s, late 2000s, like, sort of early 2000s, late 90s technology come into it. I want to see some Walkmans. I want to see some original iPods.
Or like disc.
Discmans.
Yeah.
Oh, some Discmans. Yeah. Oh, how good.
I had one.
I didn't.
Back in the
I was
day.
not allowed.
Oh.
Because in fairness, I wouldn't trust me with CDs now. I'd probably still break them.
Yeah, you probably would.
I do still have, however, I still have you bought me a CD for my birthday many moons ago.
It
A Maroon
was
5
Maroon
CD.
5.
Still in my car, is still in rotation.
Awesome.
So there you go. Because my car is so shit and old that it only has a CD player. So that's still in the rotation. But I would love to see more of that. Like
Yeah.
some more. We saw a sweet old Nokia. That Lex was given as like his burner phone by the
Like-
Colonels.
Someone giving someone a mixtape to profess their love.
Oh, mixtapes! I forgot about
Yeah.
mixtapes. God, we should give people mixtapes more. That's so
we
romantic.
can't play them. No one has tape.
I guess you can
players.
just send them a Spotify playlist, but that's less romantic.
That's not romantic at all. It's
Oh.
literally like you've just clicked a couple of songs. At least
Yeah.
with a mixtape, you're like recording.
I'm so excited for Clark to give Lana a mixtape, or even like a mix CD.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to take the time to go in and like put all the songs in a playlist on iTunes and then burn it. Do you remember doing that? I remember.
I do
distinctly.
remember doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, where you had to put the disc in the train. You had to boot up. You had to have a playlist pre-made, and it would say there was a little icon that said "burn to disc."
Yeah.
And you would click it, and it would take like hours.
Yeah.
Like you
And
would.
then half the time it wouldn't work.
Oh, it would fail, and then but because a lot of the time they were read-only discs, you'd have to throw it out and get another one.
Yeah.
I remember that distinctly, where it would fail, and you'd be like, shit, I
Yeah.
only got 3 discs left, and I've got to get this mixtape done for the emergency that I
Yeah.
need this mixtape in.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a different time. Kids at home are like, what the fuck are they talking about? Yeah, fun 90s flair that we had there. But I think one of the things I want to talk about to end this one is the cop at the very end of the episode gets out of the car and points a gun at the criminal.
Yeah.
Now, I have this problem with a lot of TV shows, and I've talked about it before on the AFA podcast and a lot of the shows that we do. When you are holding a gun and you're a trained police officer, you don't point it at people. You point the gun at the ground just in front of their feet with your finger off the trigger. And you hold it, I'm gesturing, you hold it about that angle, and you have it, there's a particular grip you do so that you can raise it quickly to shoot if you do need to. Because that is when you have a person who is armed and dangerous but is not in a position to shoot,
But
right?
also, the police were just called to the scene. How would they even know who the criminal was?
I guess Lex probably told them, right? Because he was gone for a long time.
Yeah, but
he was
even
gone long enough for
then,
Clark to super speed in and save Whitney.
How did they just like figure out where to go?
How did
in
they get there
some
that
warehouse?
fast?
Yeah.
What was the time there? Was it like 2 minutes?
20
I don't
minutes? Who knows?
know. I mean, I guess they were in Smallville proper, so I guess the cop station's pretty close.
Hmm.
But so you got a cop pointing a gun at a criminal, just points it at him, and he's like, "Don't move." That is how people get shot by
Yeah.
police, and
Yeah.
I guess Smallville doesn't give a shit. They were like, "Nah, it's TV. It's probably fine."
Yeah.
And I guess worst comes to worst, Clark could always super speed and stop that bad
Stop the
boy.
bullet.
Although maybe he would get hit by the bullet because what's his face had kryptonite tattoos.
No, but I think they'd all run out, so you probably could.
God, it makes no sense.
It's just a bad episode.
Look, this was one of the ones where I bet the people that made this, like the writers, are like, oh, we shouldn't have done that one with the kryptonite tattoos.
I feel like they just needed to fill out that like they'd been approved for like 21 episodes for the first season. And it's like, oh, okay, we've got 5 more to go. Like,
shit, what are we going to do?
7 more to go. What are we going to do?
Like, they were like, what was cool in the 90s? Tattoos and heavy metal. And they were like, oh, no, we got it. You nailed it. Stop pitching ideas, Brad. You've got it. We'll do that one. You know, and Brad was like, shit, yeah, I got my paycheck. But I wanted to mention before we end, because you said this at the end of the episode, Lex and Whitney.
Oh.
Something.
No, not Lex and Whitney.
No, with the colluding, I mean. Not with
Lex
the dating.
and Lana.
Yeah, but before that, Lex and... You said, okay, I'll just fill you in. You mentioned that... So Lex and Whitney might have seen Clark super speeding.
Right.
Sorry,
right.
you were giving me
Sorry,
the fight.
no,
You were giving me this look. You were like, "What are you talking about? They're not gonna make out." How good if they did though?
No.
Do you reckon Whitney would shave his head too if they were dating? Be the bald man. All I'm saying is, if I was dating Michael Baum, I would probably shave my head. I'd probably shave my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah. You do the
so,
Lana Lex thing. Sorry.
So
Didn't mean to
basically,
distract you with my...
No, because when you said
my
at the
homebrew.
end and
Yeah.
the
Well,
very
you said
end
them.
is Lana and Lex.
You said them directly before. Like one came directly
Yeah.
before the other.
Yeah,
so.
I gotcha. Yeah. So basically, like, Clark saves Whitney from the falling car, like using a super speed, and then Whitney sort of like just has a really dazed and confused look.
Doesn't act like it's a thing.
And yeah, so I'm sort of thinking like, will Whitney and Lex be like, oh, strange things are happening.
Clark's, and then
We're
Whitney's
going around the twist.
It's a very Australian-centric joke, but I like it. Most of our listeners are international. They're gonna be like, what the fuck was that?
Oh,
Going around the twist as an
Soz.
explanation. It's fine. We do it all the time. Going around the twist was a really weird, disturbing show.
Have you ever felt like this?
Yeah, that was the theme. It's a pretty iconic
Yeah.
Australian 90s kid thing. But then we got a bit of the Lex and Lana, so like a little bit of the buddy.
it was a bit weird because Lex approves Lana's idea for the
Talon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
She becomes a real thing later.
Lex walks away, and it's the ending like shot is just zoomed in on Lana's face, and she's doing that thing where she does that smile, then looks down, then
Oh, the one thing that she knows how to act.
yeah,
Where she like kind of does that awkward like smile.
yeah.
And she
And
does like they're like
It's
Lana,
sort of
look pretty for a
suggestive
minute."
though, yeah.
Yeah, it is because she kind of looks after him wistfully,
Yeah,
as if
exactly.
she was like, "Oh, Lex, you've really made my day,"
Yeah.
or whatever. I guess he did, but then don't give her the same look she gives to Whitney. I don't know, or is that the only look Kristen Kruk could do at the time?
I think that's the only look she can actually do.
I've just realized the only name I can say of this entire show is Tom Wellings. Like the actors. Everyone else I'm like, Katrina Kuruk, Michael Baum. Like I can't do any of them.
I'm pretty sure it's Rosenbaum.
It is Rosenbaum, but I'm never going to say it again.
I think it's Rosenbaum, not even Baum.
That's Baum. Michael Baum. He's going to... Somewhere in America, Michael
him
Rosenbaum
Mick.
is furious at me.
Mick Baum.
But as always... I was like, I can do my ending plugs. No, I can't, because I'm thinking about saying Baum repeatedly. If you guys want to help support us, wherever you listen to this, if it's on the YouTubes or the iTunes, if you go to rating, that always helps. And a review, it lets more people know about us, keeps us up in the charts. We also have a new t-shirt that's on sale.
Yes.
That will be on sale by the time this goes up. It's the
Tom Welling
Tom Welling is super handsome t-shirt.
Oh.
Super handsome. You get it? Because he's a Superman.
Because he's a Superman.
And it's got some of Crystal's amazing artwork from our cover art on it. And you can grab that in the links in the show notes down below. And as always, thanks to all of our sponsors over at Patreon.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate every cent and dollar that you guys can afford to give. And if you do want to contribute, we always prefer sort of the smaller monthly donations, $1 a month rather than the big ones. And we also tweet. We have hashtag NASPod if you want to ask us some questions. Or if you're keeping up with us, you can tweet us about the episode and we'll have a look at them before the show. Yes. And if you want to contact us and the team, we're at DCM_works. I'm at DCM I Hate Pie.
And I'm at
Stephanie
JD95.
Nailed
I got
it.
it.
You got it.
I haven't
and
used Twitter in a while, so
yeah. Well, we'll get on top of it. And all that stuff is always in the show notes. If you want to check out our other shows, all that good stuff is down below. But as always, we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you want to support the show, just head to patreon.com/DCMWorks.